Hi everyone, HFX here. Today I'd like to talk about a pretty important topic when it comes to emergency preparedness and preppers, and that's rotating your stocks. So there's three things I'm going to talk about today, and that's going to be food, water, and fuel. And all of the topics I'm going to be covering today are referring to commercially available, retail purchased items, not things that you would can yourself or water that you would store yourself in your own containers. These are things that you would go to a grocery store or a store like Costco or Sam's Club, purchase them, put them in your home, and keep them around in case of an emergency. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is food. So in reference to food, we're not going to be talking about perishable goods like fresh fruits and fresh meats and so on. We're going to be talking about canned goods and stuff like dry pastas and grains. So first of all, when it comes to canned goods, the expiration date or the best before date you'll see printed on most cans is typically 1 to 4 years out from the date of production. Typically these dates can be extended they can almost be doubled, so you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 years for most items. The one exception is around foods that have high acidity, so think about canned tomatoes. Because they're so acidic, their shelf life is typically about 18 months, and this can be extended to about 3 years tops. Now the cans do have a coating that prevent the acid from eating away the cans, but this will also over time erode, and it can lead to the food being spoiled. Now when it comes to consuming canned goods, whether they're within their best before date or after their best before date, you just want to make sure that the cans aren't bulging in any way, because that would indicate that there's microbacterial growth within the can. You want to make sure that you throw these away. The other non-perishable good that people store a lot are things like pastas and grains. You can typically store these in the retail packaging that they came in. It shouldn't be a problem. Just make sure that they're away from heat and sunlight and moisture, and you should be okay, because these items typically have little to no moisture content, and that's what keeps them fresh. Now you can take it a step further by basically either buying these in bulk or packaging them in bulk. And a good way to do that is to buy 5-gallon food grade buckets, and then take it a step further and basically contain these foods within Mylar bags, and use both that desiccant packs to remove the humidity or keep the humidity away, and also oxygen absorbers to remove the oxygen from the packaging and prevent the foods from oxidizing or spoiling. When you do so, make sure that you add the packets right before you seal everything up. Try to expel as much air from the Mylar bag as you can, and then seal the bag. If you don't have oxygen absorbers available, in a pinch you can use hand warmers. They do consume oxygen. Just throw it in. Just take it out of the packaging. It'll activate. Throw it in a Mylar bag, and again remove as much air as you can and seal it up. And the hand warmer will actually consume oxygen and prevent your food from oxidizing that way. So that's for food. And now when it comes to water, typically people will buy bottled water either in small 500 ml bottles or larger 1-gallon bottles. And a lot of them will have an expiration date on it. Now the FDA considers bottled water in the United States, and I'll extend it to Canada as well, to have an indefinite shelf life. And the expiry date you see printed on bottles is purely voluntary, and it relates to the strict quality control that the companies have around taste and odor for the water that they bottle. So if you're using water that is outside or beyond the best before or expiry date, it may not taste or smell as good as fresh water, but it's still safe to consume. And all bottled water in Canada and the United States and many other countries around the world is bottled in food grade plastics, which means that it won't leach any chemicals into your water. So again, water is good indefinitely. Just make sure that the seal on it is not cracked, which could allow for bacteria and other contaminants to get into your water, but it is good indefinitely. And again, this doesn't cover water that you may store yourself in 55-gallon drums or other type of containers. And the last thing I want to talk about is fuel. So a lot of us will store fuel around the home to have for our vehicles, generators, small engines. And what you need to know is that fuel is typically only good for about 6 months. This is fuel that doesn't contain ethanol. So 6 months without any treatment, and then it starts to break down. For fuel that has ethanol in it, which is about half of the fuel sold in North America, that's Canada and the United States and Mexico as well, about half of it contains ethanol. And that starts to break down after 30 days if not treated properly. Now, the best advice when it comes to storing fuel is prior to filling up your container with fuel is to add fuel stabilizer like Stable. There's some other house brands out there depending on where you buy it. But anyways, if you add it, typically it's about, I believe it's 1 ounce or 30 milliliters per gallon. This will typically extend the life of the fuel from anywhere from 12 to 24 months. And you want to basically treat the fuel as soon as you get it. You don't want to wait a few weeks because the fuel will start to break down almost as soon as you get that fuel. And you've got to think that although it's relatively fresh when it comes to the retailer, it's probably been sitting in those tanks for a few days. So as soon as you put in a container, you want to make sure that you're treating it. So again, it's 30 days without treatment for ethanol, for fuel that has ethanol in it, up to 6 months for pure gasoline, and about 1 to 2 years for fuel that's been treated with a stabilizing agent. The other thing as well that people store is propane, and typically propane that you buy in North America is not pure propane. It's going to be a mix of different hydrocarbons. A lot of it's going to be propane and butane, which is typically referred to as LPG or liquefied petroleum gas. And this actually has an indefinite shelf life. The only consideration is the container that it's stored in. If you were to use very old propane, you may not be able to refill that container, as the people that need to refill the containers have to make sure that it's within a certain date, or else they won't be able to refill that container for you. So that's really the only consideration when it comes to propane. But the propane itself has an indefinite shelf life. Just make sure that it's stored in a cool, dry place, and it should be good. So that's it for the video today. If you guys have any questions or concerns or anything, please put them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. If you like the video, please like it and consider subscribing as well. And that's it. Thank you.